Hi everyone, Hawaii, whoever else is watching. I hope you're all doing well. Um, and let's begin today in a seated position, but maybe a seated position that you don't normally take. So like I'm always doing this, stacking my shins. So today I'm actually going to start kneeling. Um, just break up my habitual patterns and check out something new. Alright, so once you found a comfortable seated position, either kneeling on your ankles, toes are untucked, or sitting in a comfortable seated position, legs can be crossed, uncrossed, stacked like firewood. Just begin to find comfort in your spine. So take a deep inhale, allow your shoulders to raise up towards the ceiling, and then exhale them back towards the wall behind you and down. Place your hands on your knees or clasp them together and begin to notice the feeling of your sits bones rooted into the floor, perhaps rooted onto your ankles today if you're kneeling. At the same time, crown of head reaching for the ceiling. Once you found ease in your physical body, begin to notice your breath. So again, taking notice, perhaps closing your eyes or softly gazing in the ocean in front of you. Begin to notice what your breath is like today before controlling it. Perhaps long and steady, perhaps you're a little groggy today, or quick. Whatever it is, just begin to bring awareness around it and begin to take long, steady inhales, perhaps a beat of 3. So inhaling 1, 2, 3, holding at the top, and exhaling 3, 2, 1. Found that counting with your breath, if you have trouble just focusing on your inhaling and exhaling, counting with your breath helps to give your mind something to think about, to let everything else fall away. So just taking a moment again, setting an intention to really be on your mat today, taking this hour, however long this video turns out to be, taking this and just being with yourself, your body, not thinking about what you did this morning or do this afternoon. So again, inhaling and focusing on counting the length of your inhale and the length of your exhale, or taking your hand to your belly and your chest, inhaling, belly fills, ribs expand, chest rises, holding at the top, exhaling, chest falls, rib cage deflates, belly deflates. Continuing with this 3-part Dirga breath, 3 more breaths. Getting to notice the power and energy that this breath holds that you may not have thought about in a while. Final inhale, Dirga breath, and exhale, sigh everything out, maybe letting your lips flutter to relax the face like a horse. Next, inhale, begin to engage Ujjayi breath, closing the back of your throat slightly, creating a sound with your throat. Inhaling and exhaling, creating slow, rhythmic ocean waves. To draw further within your practice. Take 5 more breaths at your own pace, encouraging each breath perhaps to get a little bit longer, holding at the top just for a beat or so longer, exhaling a little fuller. Noticing if any frustration creeps in, and just letting it pass, like clouds, like you're watching clouds pass in the sky. Or one more breath. And once you've taken that final exhale, allow your breath to return to its normal rhythm, releasing any control or restraint that you had on the breath, and just falling further within your body today. Noticing again your breath, if it's changed from the beginning of your practice. Good. Deep inhale. And exhale, sigh everything out. You can slowly open your eyes if you had them closed. And inhale, begin to sweep your arms up to the sky, filling your chest cavity a little more than you ever have. And then exhale, draw your hands in front of your heart, prayer position. Again, focusing your eyes on the tips of your fingers or closing them. And again, taking a moment to just set an intention for your practice. What do you want to focus on today? What do you need to leave behind? What do you never want to see again when you leave your mat? Just think about that, and then, again, like clouds passing, just let it go. Inhale again, arms up to sky. And then exhale, arms either side. If you were kneeling, come into a seated position, crossing that right foot over that left knee, so the ankle is pressing into that left knee. You can clasp your hands around the knee and then just gently pull your spine towards your knee to get a nice long straight spine. Inhale deeply, and then exhale, left elbow presses into that right knee, getting nice and long again, and then walking your right hand behind you for a twist. Again, inhaling deeply, and exhaling, twisting a little deeper. Perhaps noticing sensation in areas of the body that you wouldn't expect to feel sensations. Expecting a twist in the spine, yes, but perhaps shoulders opening a little more if you have that elbow tucked in the inside of your knee. If that sensation is too great, again, going back to just holding that right knee with the left elbow. Again, inhaling, drawing nice and tall, and exhaling, twisting a little deeper. Hold for one more breath. And inhale, come back to center. Exhale, uncross the legs, and now place that right knee on the floor. Left foot crosses over, ankle pressing into the right knee this time. Clasping your hands around the knee. Inhale, grow nice and long, and then exhale, begin to twist, walking that left hand behind you. Again, if you're looking for more sensation in the shoulders, if you've been closed off in that area, you can wrap the elbow around the knee or place the elbow on the inside of that left knee. Inhaling, and then exhaling, pressing into your elbow to twist a little deeper. Noticing where your sits bones are, perhaps not so grounded in this twist. Maybe one is coming off of the mat. Just encourage both sits bones to be on the mat. One more deep breath, grow nice and long, some energy into that body. And then exhale, twist a little deeper. Inhale, come back to center. Stack your knees, stacking your legs like firewood if that's available to you, or just crossing them. Again, grow nice and long. Inhale deeply. And then exhale, fold forward. Torso over the legs. First thing in the morning, this can be a pretty intense wake up for the thigh. So again, be gentle. Don't force yourself to go as far as you might normally. Perhaps your head is not on the floor, and that's totally fine. Perhaps tensing the fingers and placing them on the floor so that you get a little bit of a stretch. Your elbows are off of the floor, fingers tented, palms off of the floor. Getting a bit of a stretch in those shoulders. Inhale deeply, and exhale, begin to walk yourself up, changing the crossing of the legs, the stacking of the shins wherever you were. Inhale and growing nice and long. And then exhale, again, walking forward. Perhaps going right into the tented fingers or allowing your palms to rest on the floor and have more of a passive pose. As we begin our practice, this is a good time to really be aware of the breath, because this isn't more of one of the simpler poses that you might forget about your breath. But here, if you really encourage yourself to pay attention to your breath, even in the more simpler poses, it can be a really good tool when we're trying to maintain a stronger, more active pose. One more deep inhale. And exhale, walk yourself up, coming onto tabletop for a second. And bring your toes together, knees wide, hips sink back towards your ankles, head comes to the floor, hands out in front of you in child's pose. So we're just going to take 5 deep breaths here. Your knees can be wide or underneath you, either way, opening. They're wide, sending breath into the hips, and if your knees are together, sending breath into your lower back. Really just allow yourself to relax any muscle that you can, beginning to be grounded at the beginning of our practice so that when we're up in the air, we can tap into this groundedness we found at the beginning of our practice. Again, consciously breathing, awareness around any tight, sore areas of the body. More deep inhale. Exhale, sigh everything out. Allow your jaw to relax. Your tongue is pressing into the roof of your mouth. Allow your tongue to relax, let go. Perhaps lips slightly parted helps relax the face. And inhale deeply, getting to come out of that child's pose and forward, slithering forward onto your stomach, forearms pressing into the mat. Begin to press your forearms more solidly into your mat to lift your stomach off of the mat. Chest rises, shoulder blades, again, back, reaching for the back wall as you look up. Little baby cobra back bend here. Again, now noticing how your breath changes. It feels a little more constrained or restricted in this pose than it did in child's pose. So attempt to keep drinking in that oxygen as fully as you did in child's pose, knowing it might be a little more of a challenge. Good. And then inhale, press into your forearms, coming into that tabletop position, and then pressing back onto your heels into child's pose for a second. Coming out to the side, slithering forward like a snake, coming out over your palms, pressing quickly into an upward dog, and then rocking over to the left, hips go towards the left. Inhaling back and then exhaling forwards, kind of stirring a big pot with your hips, waking up the hips. Becoming more primitive, letting go of everything, turning back into a snake. Inhaling forward, perhaps taking a moment to find upward dog, knees down variation. Exhaling over to the side and back. Again, pausing anywhere along the way that you find any stickiness. Perhaps going over to the left, pressing your palms into the mat for a puppy stretch. Or continuing to move, exhaling forward and inhaling back. And then changing directions, inhaling to the left if you were going right, or vice versa. Perhaps dragging your nose along the mat to come forward into a full upward facing dog now, knees off of the mat. And then completing your circle wherever you are, and eventually finding upward dog. Elbows slightly bent, not locked. Knees can be off the mat for more engagement in the back and the thighs, or on the mat for more of a unwinding, relaxing stretch in the spine. 2 deep breaths here, open the heart. Inhale deeply, and exhale, lift the knees off of the mat, curl your toes under, lift your hips to the sky, heels to the mat, find downward facing dog. So begin to walk your dog out here, bending one knee and extending the other to slowly wake up those hamstrings. Inhaling when both feet are down, and then exhaling when one knee comes forward. And continuing to do that for a few more breaths as I again open the window. It always gets a lot hotter than I think it is. Good. Continuing to walk that dog out, shoulder blades, notice where they are. Are they hunched by your ears? If they are, just allow them to melt down the spine. It takes a lot less energy to have them down and back than up by the ears. Good. Inhale now, allow both heels to sink towards the mat if that's comfortable for you. Find your full expression of downward facing dog. Begin to walk your feet perhaps a little further behind you to open up the spine, get a longer spine. Decompress the vertebra. Inhale deeply. And exhale, begin to bend the knees. Inhale again, straighten the knees. And then exhale, twist your feet out towards the right, heels towards the right, and send your knees out towards the left. Inhale, center, and exhale, opposite direction, heels out towards the left, knees out towards the right. Inhale, center, and exhale, bend the knees, and begin to walk forward to find your first forward fold of the day. So again, very passive here. Knees can be bent, torso spilling out over the thighs. Opposite hand grabs opposite elbow, waterfall pose. Deep inhale and exhale. Again, noticing the neck, perhaps nodding yes and no, and making circles with the neck. Giving it the attention it deserves. Perhaps allowing your hands to fall to the mat and straightening your legs if your hamstrings are feeling supple today, or again, keeping them slightly bent. Inhale and bend one knee, straighten the other. Exhale, reverse that. Bend the other knee, straighten the other. Inhale, center, and exhale, bend. So just what we did in down dog, but this time in forward fold. One more time, inhale, come to center, and exhale, fold a little bit deeper, perhaps reaching a centimeter more towards the floor. And then inhaling, coming up to a flat back, wherever that may be. Shins can be pressed into thighs, hands can be pressed into thighs, shins, or the floor, finding a flat back. Inhale, and exhale, fold forward. Inhale, this time reach up towards the sky. Hands clasped together in prayer over your heart. And then exhale, fold forward. Inhale, come up flat back. And then exhale, palms pressed into the mat, bending your knees as much as possible. To do this, step your feet back to find high plank. Inhale, come forward, and then exhale, back. Inhale, forward. Exhale, come halfway down. Flat body as much as you can. Elbows bent, pushing into your rib cage. And then inhale, press up. Find upward facing dog, knees off of the mat if that's available today. Inhale, look up, and then exhale, look behind you, looking over your right shoulder. Inhale, look up at center, and exhale, look up behind you to the left. Inhale up, and then exhale, hips to the sky, heels to the mat, downward facing dog. One breath here. Find your neutral, central spot, perhaps playing with walking your feet further behind you than you might normally, or further closer to you. Interesting. Walking your feet closer to you, just to play around and notice if anything different feels better. Inhale, lift your right leg to the sky, keeping your hips parallel to each other. And inhale again, sending more energy into that leg, lifting your leg as high as you possibly can. And then exhale, stepping that right foot in between your hands. Once your foot is grounded, you allow your hips to sink towards the floor as you press your hands into the mat. Just wake up that hip area. Again, be a little more of a snake here, as we did earlier. Perhaps trying to stir the pot with your hips like this. A little more difficult, but bringing more awareness into all of the feelings that you have in that area. Inhale and allow that back knee to reach towards the ceiling as high as it can go. Notice all of the energy in that back leg. Inhale and exhale, allowing the back knee now to sink towards the mat. Both hands come to the inside of that right leg. And inhale, reach your right arm to the sky. Again, finding a twist, opening the hips, back. Inhale, and exhale, allow that hand to come to the outside of that knee now. Allow the back knee to lift towards the ceiling. Once you found groundedness in the space, inhale, lift your torso to the sky, arms to the ceiling. And exhale, sink deep in your expression of Warrior One. Again, remembering to breathe, inhaling, sinking, lifting a little higher, exhaling, sinking a little deeper. Good. Inhaling, reaching for the sky, palms clasped together, hands clasped together, all except for your pointer fingers, so reaching for the sky. Inhale, perhaps finding a back bend. Holding for 3 more breaths. One more breath, deep inhale, and exhale. Hands to either side of that foot, shooting that right foot back to either meet up with the left or stay lifted in the sky. Inhale, come forward. Exhale, halfway down. And inhale, both feet meet up. Find upward facing dog. Good. Inhale deeply. Exhale, hips to sky, heels to mat, downward facing dog. Take a moment here, perhaps walking your dog out, finding some micro movements in this pose. and coordinating them with your breath. Good. Next inhale, lift that left foot up to the sky, holding for one breath. Then inhaling, sending more energy to that leg, allowing hips to stack. And exhaling, left foot in between your hands, finding low lunge. Lots of distance between your back foot and your front foot. And inhale, come forward, and exhale, around and back. Again, stirring the pot with your hips in this pose. Perhaps pushing your hips further towards the mat and then lifting. And then bringing awareness to that back knee. How is it bent? Perhaps sending more energy into that leg. Noticing that you do have power in the back leg as well as the front. Taking both hands to the inside of that foot now, and inhaling, lifting left hand to sky. Good, finding a twist. Again, breathing and noticing your shoulder coming forward and back on every inhale and exhale. Inhale deeply, exhale, hands to either side of that foot. Allow that back knee to sink towards the mat for a second. Notice your hips. And then inhale, send energy into the back leg as much as you can. Find groundedness in both feet. And then inhale, begin to lift up into that warrior. Hands reach towards the ceiling. Tapping into that breath now for energy. Hands again over your heart or on your hips. Inhaling, growing nice and long. Exhaling, sinking a little deeper. Perhaps playing with a micro back bend. Open up the heart a little more. Bring awareness to the front of the body. One more breath. Deep inhale. And exhale. Both hands either side of that foot. Finding high plank, shoot that left foot back to either meet up with the right or stay lifted. Come forward, lower halfway down, and then inhale, push up, find upward facing dog. Stay here for one cycle of breath. Inhale deeply and exhale. Find your downward facing dog. Inhale deeply, notice your shoulders, rolling them out, inhaling towards your ears and exhaling them down your spine. And then bending your knees, and then hop, step, or walking to the front of your mat. Inhaling to flat spine, exhaling, forward fold. Perhaps making this forward fold a little more active now that our hamstrings are a little warmer. Wrapping your hands around the ankles, tucking your palms under your feet, and you can do that even if you can't touch your palms to the floor with straight knees. Tucking your palms under the feet and then pulling your shoulders to the sky. Help open up the back of the shoulder blades. Again, knees can be bent or straight. Don't know what that big bang was. Knees can be bent or straight, creating some traction in between the shoulder blades, opening up. Good. If you found gorilla pose, those palms tucked under, allow them to release, inhaling to a flat back, and exhaling, again, finding forward fold. Inhale, come up to a flat back, and exhale, allow the knees to bend, sending the hips towards the floor, and arms come up over your head, finding chair pose. So here, just as we found in our sitting position at the beginning of class, crown of head reaching towards the sky as your sits bones reach towards the floor. Spine comes like an elastic band stretching two different directions. Inhale, reach your hands towards the ceiling, and then exhale, allow your shoulder blades to melt down the spine. Inhale, come to standing, and draw your hands to palm over your head, to prayer, and then exhale. Again, come to chair pose. Inhaling deeply, exhaling, crossing the left elbow over the right knee, and pressing into the elbow to find a twist here. Perhaps staying here, opening up that wingspan. Left hand reaches for the outside of the right foot, and right arm reaches behind you. Same as that twist we did before, inhaling, your shoulder blade reaches forward, and exhaling, it creeps a little further behind you. Good. Inhale deeply, and exhale, come back to center, palms to prayer, finding that chair pose. Inhale, come to standing, and exhale, fold forward. Good. Inhale, flat back, and exhale, begin to bend the knees, coming again to that chair pose, hips sink towards the floor. Inhale deeply, palms to prayer over your heart, and exhale, palms in front of your heart. Hold here for a moment. Notice where your spine is. Try to get nice and long, because if your shoulder blades could stack over your hips, they won't. But just try to open up the chest here, even though this can be a very awkward pose. Inhale deeply, and exhale. Cross right elbow over the left knee. Press into that elbow. Find a twist. Again, staying here, opening up the wingspan. Inhale deeply, and exhale, palms to prayer, unwind to your chair pose. Inhale and exhale, toe heel your feet apart, coming into a squat, slowly lowering down to Balasana, prayer position. So here, pressing your arms into your knees, get kind of traction there, palms to prayer in front of your heart, pressing into each other. And again, crown of head reaches towards the sky, sits bones towards the floor, spine is that elastic band again. Finding another twist here, left hand reaches towards the floor, outside of that left knee, right hand reaches for the sky. And deep breaths. Perhaps looking at the ceiling, encourage more of a twist, inhaling and exhaling. And inhale, come back to center. Again, finding that prayer squat. Deep inhale, full exhale. Good. Again, finding the twist opposite side now. Right hand reaches towards the outside of that right knee. Left hand reaches towards the ceiling. Deep breaths. Two. And one. Deep final inhale. Exhale, come back to center, hands to prayer, and then begin to place the hands out in front of you, pressing weight into your hands. Pop the feet out a little wider than your hands are, and begin to toe heel them even wider apart, coming into a wide-legged forward fold. Inhale, find a flat back, and then exhale, fold forward. Hands can be in front of you, placing or on opposite ankles. Perhaps more active here, pulling your head towards the floor.
Or if you'd like to play with a little bit of a head balance, placing your hands in front of you, either side of you, you need to lean forward just enough so that your head can rest on the floor. Your hamstrings might be flexible enough that it's not a balance, and your feet are still on the floor if it is a balance, but it's kind of a little freaky. Come forward like that. So I'm calling it a balance. Hold wherever you are for 3 more breaths. Using the energy of your breath to send awareness and liveliness to your hamstrings, your feet, whatever is hurting. Good. Inhale, begin to press into your palms, again, come into that flat back. You can begin to bring your heels, just toe heel half, so that your heels are in, toes facing out. Coming into a wide squat now. Inhale, allow your hips to sink towards the floor, arms to reach towards the sky, and then come out next to you in cactus arms. Don't know how much of me you can see right now, but again, kind of like chair pose. Encouraging your shoulder blades to stack over the hips. Inhale, straighten the knees. Lift up towards the ceiling. And exhale, squat. Inhale, straighten the knees, get energy. And exhale, squat. Staying here, place your hands on your thighs close to your knees. Inhale and exhale, press into the right thigh. Just stretch and twist, looking up towards the left. Inhale, center, and exhale, press into that left hand. Twist and look up towards the right. Inhale, center again. Exhaling, twisting. Again, staying in a pose long enough to notice all the sensations. Legs kind of burning, shoulder blades stretching, spine being wrung out. Inhale, center, and one more time. Exhale, twist. Inhale to center now, keeping your hands on the thigh or again in cactus arms. Begin to lift your heels, pressing weight into the toes, waking up the calves. Inhale and exhale, allow the heels to sink towards the mat. Inhaling, lifting the heels. Exhaling, allowing them to come towards the mat. 3 more times. Inhale and exhale, sink. Inhale, exhale, sink. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, straighten your legs. Reach up towards the sky. And exhale, hands place onto your hips. Take a moment here to check in. Rolling shoulder blades back to be over your hips. Inhale deeply and exhale, twist that right foot so that your toes are facing the front of your mat. Left heel now turns 45-degree angle towards the front of your mat. Back. Your toes turn 45-degree angle to the front of your mat. Heels reach towards the back. And straighten that front leg. Inhale, arms to T position. Inhale, reach behind you. And then exhale, reach as far forward as you possibly can from that hip with a straight back. Once you've found that, inhale deeply, stretch a little further forward. Then exhale, allow your hand to fall wherever it may comfortably fall. Again, this might mean your hand is on the top of your shin, pressing into the mat, on your ankle, wherever it's comfortable and you have a flat spine, to open the chest instead of round forward. Once you've found that comfortable position, inhaling, lifting your left shoulder behind you. And exhaling, perhaps looking up or looking at the floor. Two more breaths. Inhale. Good. Inhale. And exhale. Allow the left hand to come towards the mat. Right hand begins to reach towards the wall behind you, reaching up towards the ceiling, actually. Chest facing wall behind you. Finding twisting triangle. So your hand kind of has to be on the mat for this one. So it's okay if you're more rounded here. But just focus on twisting from those hips. Keeping the hips square and lifting towards the ceiling. If you would like more of a challenge to your balance, that left hand can come to the outside of the right foot. One more deep breath, inhale, and exhale, come back to center. Right hand pressing into the floor in front of you, left hand reaching towards the ceiling, seeing where you are for a second. I'm gonna set myself back. Now from triangle, we're going to go into half moon. So, balancing half moon. So toes facing forward, you have to bend that front right knee, and step your right hand, bring your right hand in about a foot in front of you. As you do so, your back left leg begins to reach towards the ceiling, left hand reaching towards the sky, finding half moon. So goal here is to be like you're pressed in between two panes of glass, hips stacking. Don't know if I have that, but that's the goal. And your back left leg is parallel to the floor, opening the hips in a more active way because your hips have to work here. Once you found this, perhaps lifting that right hand that's pressing into the floor, because this is not an arm balance. So playing here, perhaps lifting the right arm for a second, placing it back on the floor. Inhale deeply and exhale. Inhale and exhale, allow that left leg to flip back towards the mat, and coming back to standing, finding 5-pointed star, feet parallel to each other, hands in T position. Deep inhale, long exhale. Good, this time back foot it turns into your right foot, left foot spins 90 degrees, toes pointing to the back of your mat. Right heel is pointing to the back of your mat, front right toes pointing that 45-degree angle towards the front of your mat. Inhale deeply, exhale, reach behind you. Inhale, center, and exhale, reach as far forward in front of you as you can, again with that flat back. And then exhaling, allow that left hand to fall wherever comfortable. Right hand reaching towards the ceiling. Look up at that right hand if it's comfortable, just at the floor in front of you. Again, noticing your breath, even in these more static postures. Noticing your 3-part breath, even when you're in a much weirder position than we were at the beginning of class. So, noticing belly fill, ribs expand, and chest rise. You can really notice your chest rise here, as we're puffing our chest up towards the side wall. Inhale, grow nice and long, and exhale, allow that right hand come to the inside of that left foot. Left hand reaches towards the ceiling, twisting. Again, maybe stepping that back right foot up a bit so that your hips can be parallel to one another rather than open. Hands, you can look up at your hand or out at the wall. And then again, perhaps challenging your balance by taking that right hand to the outside of that left foot. Encouraging the left leg to stay long. Good. One more breath, inhale. And exhale, come back to center. I'm gonna walk myself back. Sorry, little limited by my wall space. Good, so begin to bend that left knee now, taking the left hand out in front of you, stepping the back right foot up enough until it begins to reach towards the ceiling, and then right hand floats off of the mat, opening yourself to the side wall in half moon. Good, so engaging obliques here can help lift that left hand off of the mat. And pull that left hand into your heart. Allow it to softly float on the mat. Encouraging that back leg to lift and your whole body to be stacked. So I could put you in a toaster and you wouldn't burn. 2 more breaths. Inhale, grow long, and exhale. Right palm to mat, right foot to mat. Exhale, fold forward. Good. Take a moment, check in with your body. Notice how this forward fold might feel a little different after standing on one leg. One leg might feel a lot more tight than the other. So again, you can walk that leg out, bend one knee, extend the other, and vice versa. Good. Inhaling, coming up to a flat back, and maintaining the flat back, taking your hands out to T position, and then clasping your hands together behind you, coming up even higher now. Inhale, and then exhale, fold forward. Standing Yoga Mudra, your clasped hands reach towards the wall in front of you as your neck releases. Nod again, yes, no, noticing the different sensations with your hands clasped. Your legs having a little trouble staying straight as mine are, you can bend the knees, torso again coming onto the thigh for a more passive Yoga Mudra. Three breaths. One. Good. Begin to sink your hips towards the mat. Hands can come out in front of you and just wrap your arms around your knees, coming into a little seed on your toes. Inhale and then exhale. Begin to rock back behind you onto your back and then rocking up forward. Inhaling, rocking behind you, and exhaling forward, massaging your back muscles. One more time, inhale, and exhale forward. This time, using your abs to catch yourself where your feet come out onto the mat. So if your feet came onto the mat, try one more time. Inhale, rock back, and exhale, rock forwards, pausing before your feet touch the mat. Good, so inhale and grow nice and long. Exhale, shoulders down and back. Find your torso to be about 45-degree angle towards the mat. And then lift your shins up to be parallel with the floor. You can stay here, take your hands behind your thighs, or bring your hands parallel to the floor. Finding boat pose. Inhaling, perhaps lifting your arms up over your head. It's most difficult on the abs. And finally, perhaps extending the feet for a full boat. Inhale and exhale, twist to the right, both hands touching the floor. Inhale, center, and exhale, twisting to the left. Inhale, center, exhale to the right. Inhale, exhale, left. Inhale, grow nice and long. And then exhale, reach for your toes, perhaps bending your knees now. Grabbing, making peace fingers and grabbing onto those big toes with the peace fingers. Staying here or attempting to straighten the legs. Pausing wherever you can. You might roll around a bit. If you lose your balance, that's fine. But working here to get that 45-degree angle in your back, stretching out the hamstrings. If you're here and you'd like to go a little further, perhaps finding wide-legged variation. Inhaling center and exhaling to that wide-legged. Inhaling and exhaling. Good, inhaling center. And then exhaling, bending the knees, coming again into boat for a second. And then feet come together, knees come wide. Slowly lower down onto your back to Supta Baddha Konasana, supine bound angle. So feet are together, knees fall out away from each other. Back pressing into the floor. Take a moment here to notice your breath, perhaps bringing your hands onto your belly, tapping into that Dirga breath. Good. Bring your knees together now, feet pressing into the mat. Hands can come out by your hips. And once you've done that, inhaling, pressing into your feet, and lifting your hips towards the sky for bridge pose. And staying here or walking your shoulders underneath you, clasping your hands together as we did in Yoga Mudra earlier when we were in our standing bend. Lifting your hips a little higher towards the ceiling, opening up the chest, and noticing where your thighs are. A lot of times we allow our thighs kind of splay out, but that will put some pressure on the back. So bring your thighs together, pretend you're squeezing a thigh in between, squeezing a block in between your thighs. And that'll encourage your hamstrings to wake up. Work your gluteus rather than strain your back. Take a full inhale, noticing your 3-part breath in this pose, watching your belly inflate, ribs expand, perhaps chest pressing into the floor, and exhaling, slowly unwinding, shoulder blades pressing to the floor, rolling down vertebra by vertebra. So for our next pose, you can take bridge again, or if you're feeling a little more playful, your hands come out by your ears, but your fingers are pointing towards your toes, towards the bottom of your mat. So elbows drawn in towards your face. Feet, again, pressing into the mat, and just as we did in bridge, and if you are in bridge, inhale, press into your feet, lift your hips to the sky, and then if you're going for wheel, now just press into your hands to find wheel. Allow your shoulder blades to melt down your spine. Perhaps play with walking your hands towards your feet, wherever it's comfortable. And hang out, noticing your breath, the travel of the oxygen through your body in this pose. Holding for 3 more breaths. And slowly lowering down if you found wheel, head first, and then vertebra roll down towards the floor. Just find feet pressing into the mat. Inhale, and exhale, side out. Inhale, pull both the knees in towards your chest. Begin to paint large circles on the ceiling. Pretend as though you're painting large circles on the ceiling. Good, changing your directions. Inhaling, pulling knees to chest, and exhaling them away from you. Good. Inhale, pull your knees into your chest. Give yourself one last hug. And then allow your feet to come out towards the bottom of your mat. Legs are long. Hands by your hips or on your belly. Begin to settle into your physical body. Noticing any last residual areas of tension and getting rid of attempting to soothe those. So if you have a little discomfort in your shoulders, maybe pulling on that, or if your hips are still tight, perhaps lying in bound angle for the remainder of our practice. So doing whatever you can to pacify those areas of tension, knowing that it's okay if they don't immediately dissipate. And again, settling into Shavasana now. The hands by your hips or on your stomach. Begin to say goodbye to your physical body for a few minutes. So just take one last body scan. Notice any areas where you might be unnecessarily clenching. So I noticed my toes were clenched for some reason. Just allow them to relax. Allow calf muscles, thighs to relax and sink into the mat. Breathe awareness into your hips, feeling stomach relax as you exhale. Wiggle your fingers, allow them to totally let go, no longer clasping onto anything. Palms open in a gesture of receiving. Now taking a little scan of your breath, one more constrained inhale. Noticing the passage of your breath through your entire torso. And with your next exhale, letting go of both physical and breath body. Allowing yourself to melt into your mat and let go. slowly begin to bring awareness back into your physical body by wiggling those fingers and toes, encouraging them to remain relaxed even as you move the muscles. And taking this mindset of relaxation into your breath. Take one deep inhale and exhaling. Another relaxed inhale. Pull your knees into your chest, wrapping your hands around your knees. And take a moment here and begin to wake yourself up a little more, rocking perhaps side to side. And inhale deeply, exhale, roll over to your right, let everything go. Take a moment here to pause in fetal position. Again, relaxing your lips, perhaps making that horse face. Big sigh. And when you're ready, pressing into your hands, coming into that seated position. Eyes can stay closed or softly gazing out in front of you. Deep inhale, shoulders roll down and back. Take a moment to reflect on your practice and set an intention now, something that you learned from your practice today that you'd like to apply to the rest of your day. Set an intention to carry that wisdom throughout the rest of your day. Inhale, deep inhale, bring your palms to prayer over your heart. Exhale, your palms in front of your heart. Bowing your head to your hands, we say Namaste. Have an amazing day.